I was gonna do a video about Black Panther and why it didn't, or the Black Klansman, why those two films didn't get any nods, even though people hyped up that they was in contention for a Golden Globe, and everything. I knew deep down they was not gonna let that film get any awards. I knew that either A Star Is Born or Bohemian Rhapsody or Vice or whatever film that came out within the last 6 or 7 months would be the one that everybody hypes up. But the thing is, I noticed something last night was pretty glaring. That Bohemian Rhapsody director Bryan Singer was not mentioned at all last night. Now, it can be various reasons why they didn't do that. One is he was terminated 2 weeks before the film finished shooting. And one of the reasons going around that him and the lead actor had disagreements. When in fact it was Bryan Singer that picked him to play Freddie Mercury. Because initially, old boy who played, what's his name? I can't think of his real name. The guy that played Borat, Sacha Baron Cohen, was supposed to play Freddie Mercury. And they're supposed to be a lot edgier than what people say that they saw on screen. Because they really wanted to focus on Freddie Mercury's sexual identity. And that wasn't a premise that his bandmates tried to get made. They wanted to talk about Queen with a Freddie Mercury story going along with it, not the entirety. Because if they was going to do that, they said they would have did a movie focused squarely on Freddie Mercury, and Queen would be like a B or C story. So they wanted to focus on how Queen came to prominence and how Freddie Mercury became the star that we, or those of us who are aware of Queen, know him as today. Even though Freddie Mercury has been dead almost 30 years now. I remember he died in September of '91. He died the day before Gene Roddenberry died. I'll never forget that. But anyways, Bryan Singer was not mentioned by the lead actor or the producers, and he still retained directing credit on the film. It was his vision. It was his, that we see on the screen. Now, I haven't went to see the movie yet. I wanted to go see it, but I told you guys before, I don't run out and watch movies like that anymore because, there's a lot of shenanigans that go in these movie theaters now, and I don't want to be a part of it. That kind of stuff, That's just me being maybe overly cautious, but it is what it is. But anyways, I think one of the reasons why Bryan Singer was not mentioned last night is because of the Me Too Time's Up movement. And what I mean is that a lot of people, especially those within the black community, have been pointing out that there's a lot of white men in Hollywood that, straight or gay, who have been accused of things, and for some reason their careers haven't taken effect on them. But to be honest with you, if this is what y'all picked to throw Bryan Singer to the side, Hollywood is full of shit, and I tell you what I mean. Bryan Singer came to promise directing the movie without Pupil, if I'm not mistaken, or was it the movie he did with Kevin Spacey in I can't think of the name, Reservoir Dogs, I believe, Reservoir Dogs. If I got it wrong, I know somebody will correct me. But Out Pupil's the one that really people took him serious as a young director. What happened was he got to do the X-Men films and became more popular. And then he had his first misstep with Superman Returns, which wasn't a misstep in my personal opinion. Studio approved the script, they approved of the concept. It's just that Superman didn't make the money that they thought it was going to make. And the studio was realized at that time they was comparing it to Spider-Man, with Sam Raimi's Spider-Man at the time, and The Dark Knight. Even though Superman Returns made more money than Dark Knight, but it is what it is. But Bryan Singer started to throw Brandon Routh under the bus, trying to blame it on him instead of saying, hey, I'm the director, I take responsibility, or it's just that maybe people wasn't ready for the Superman movie the way we thought they was, or maybe we should have just started all over again, whatever, that kind of thing. And I said I said, karma gonna come back to bite him in the rear for throwing one of his actors under the bus. or not just getting behind the movie. But what got me is that these allegations started to pop up soon after. Now, I remember when I heard about Bryan Singer being gay directing the X-Men movie, I said he's going to bring something to the may a straight person may not bring to or a black person may bring to the X-Men franchise, because the X-Men supposed to represent other. And Stan Lee had always said that the X-Men represent, the civil rights issues and whatnot. Even though I disagree with the premise of Dr. King and Malcolm X, being used as Magneto and Professor X. And I can get into another commentary, but the thing is, that was the premise. And why I enjoyed Bryan's X-Men films, the ones that he directed, um, it was a rumor that Bryan was messing with underage males, and Hollywood talked about it, just not as loud as they talked about Bill Cosby, because they didn't talk about it really at all. To be perfectly honest with you, because he's still able to make movies. His doors are totally not shut in Hollywood to him, but he was accused of sexual improprieties. Now, mind you, they let this dude handle some of the biggest franchises in Hollywood: X-Men, Superman. You know what I mean? He directed Tom Cruise in Valkyrie. He worked. I mean, this dude is not a slouch. He's a known name. And when he came back to the X-Men franchise, did Days of Future Past, it was a good movie. I got to give it was a good movie. Logan was probably the best out of all superhero movies, to be perfectly honest with you. In my opinion, with modern day superhero movies. I'll be honest with you. Um, Bryan was never really questioned by the media. Matter of fact, when they did the press junket for Days of Future Past, they never asked Patrick Stewart, Hugh Jackman, Ian McKellen, Michael Fassbender, Halle Berry, any of the people that played in the movie about Bryan being accused of misconduct. And I remember doing videos saying that you see how on point the actors and actresses are, or the studio is. They just act like it didn't exist, and the people who was doing the interviews didn't push it, didn't ask about it. And I said that, I said it must be nice to be a gay dude, be Jewish, and be able to get away with stuff. Now people can say, well, how do you know that he's guilty of these things? Well, I don't know if he's guilty of these things or not, but the thing is, the silence from Hollywood is deafening. And a lot of times when Hollywood is silent about something like this, usually it is true. Corey Feldman, even before he came back out, he had said a lot of these well-known directors, a lot of them are white men, are messing with children, especially male children and teenagers. He said you'd be surprised who's directing now, who directed in the past, or still directing. They're doing this. And when Stephen Collins, around that time, Stephen Collins came out, and a lot of us was doing commentary said, why aren't people yelling about this? Or even have a discussion about it. But yet, when it came to Bill Cosby, it was hearsay, people nonstop. Like, look what's going on with R. Kelly. There's no proof that R. Kelly did these things to these women. But they trying to take something he did years ago and say, well, if he did this years ago, this must be the equivalent. And it's not the equivalent. But the thing is that last night, Hollywood wanted to make sure they don't like hypocrites by celebrating. Because remember what they did to Nate Parker. They destroyed Nate's Birth of the Nation with the award shows, the Globes, the Academy. They destroyed his box office. So now you have people who on social media who monitor not just other social media sites, but especially black social media sites. And that's something that y'all knows we've dropped all in these videos. Like, wait a minute, why is Bryan Singer able to move freely? He had multitude of charges brought against him. And the thing is that they ignored it, and then this reinforces something. If you're Jewish in Hollywood and you're accused of sexual improprieties, they're gonna fall on their sword. I mean, look what they're going. Now Drake is about to get his nigga moment, but see, Drake thought he existed in a different world. But I digress. But it seems to me is now last night they didn't want to mention because the first thing people say, wait a minute, Bryan Singer was accused of things, whether he was found guilty or not. But you guys destroyed Nate Parker's reputation in his movie box office. You already gave Casey Affleck awards when he was accused, but Nate Parker was supposed to suffer. But see, let me tell you who hurted Nate Parker. It was gay blacks, gay whites, straight whites, and straight black women. That's what hurt Nate Parker. Even when some of the actors and actresses of the show, of Nate's movie, said the things that's being reported are not true, you had Gabrielle Union out there joining forces with Amber Phillips and all of them saying these negative things, and then Robin Roberts did what she did to Nate, what she did to Chris Brown. So when they sitting there like, wait a minute, the black Americans, black moviegoers are pointing this stuff out. So whatever the reason they fired Bryan, we truly won't never know. It's between Bryan and the studios. Bryan said that he wanted to go deal with his sick parents, and the studios told him no. Now there's a possibility that could have happened. But the thing is that Bryan was accused on more than one occasion. And the thing is, that's why everybody talking about Kevin Spacey, I'm like, y'all forget about Bryan Singer. But see, Bryan still have enough juice in Hollywood for stuff to blow over him, because he done made people some rich people. We gotta point out the hypocrisy of Hollywood. See, they rather just fade off into nothingness. They don't want to have that discussion. Because if you're gonna talk about times other than Me Too, and you're gonna talk about Kevin Spacey, why not bring up Bryan Singer and these other cats in Hollywood? Why was y'all so hell bent on trying to destroy Corey Feldman's reputation when he pointed it out? Because if you go back and listen to what Corey Feldman said, he said the directors that directed movies when I was a kid are still directing. So you have to start saying, wait a minute. Okay, Corey Feldman is 47 now? 46, 47? So you said, okay, who's still directing, and Hollywood was directing when he was a shorty? And then you sit there and say, Steven Spielberg, number one. George Lucas not really directing. You had old boy that directed, I can't think of his name, directed the Supergirl movie. He was working on in television now because he directed episodes of Smallville and some other shows. I can't pronounce his name, it's a French name. And then you had Richard Donner, whose wife is him and his wife are executive producers of the X-Men franchise. He's still in Hollywood working. Matter of fact, Bryan Singer went to Richard Donner to get his blessing for the storyline they was going to do in Superman Returns. And let me remind y'all, Richard Donner's wife, Laura Schuler Donner, is the executive producer of the X-Men franchise. Think about that for a second. So it's connected in some weird way. So you had the studio, you had Century Fox say, when they had this issue over with Bill O'Reilly over at Fox News and Roger Ailes, and Disney's trying to buy us, and we don't need no extra issues. We don't need to have to drop our asking price to be bought, because Disney came in, they bag of money and bought it. So now Disney going to try to separate himself from certain projects. They're going to certain directors and whatnot. So now you got the actor and the producers, and like Bryan didn't exist. He shot a large portion of the movie, and he only had 2 weeks to go. But the thing is, instead of them confronting or talking about what Bryan was accused of, or why they felt that there's no need to acknowledge him, they just want to pretend like he doesn't exist right now. But you think if that was a black man, they would have done that? No. Hollywood is full of it. They're turning on for just a bit, but they won't completely turn their own, throw their own under the bus. And what I mean by their own, other white folk, other white Jewish, gay, or straight, they will not do to them what they done to Bill Cosby, what they done to Michael Jackson, what they done to O.J. Simpson, Mike Tyson, what they currently doing to R. Kelly. And that's, as I said before, some of those guys could have very well did what they're accused of. But you have to ask yourself, why is it that Bryan Singer, they try to act like they know he's still there? Nobody's out to advocate for him to be investigated or lose his ability to make films. I mean, here it is. He still can go into a boardroom and still say, "Hey, I got a premise for a story or a film," and get it made. But I think what is going on, they listen to social media, and a lot of people are being called out, saying, "Wait a minute, you guys set up here for years and insinuate Michael Jackson was gay, and he's a pedophile, he was molesting kids." Then they come to find out that all of it was set up. And you guys destroyed that man's reputation. Bryan Singer's been accused on more than one occasion, and the news media or the press has been pretty silent about it. It's been regulated to the internet. And then Bryan Singer worked with Kevin Spacey. He was going currently through some things. See, this, they don't want to open a can of worms. See, and because if I was Corey Feldman, I'd be somewhere laughing at Megyn Kelly like, "Ha, you got caught being an ass." But he said, at the same time, he should have said, "Why did they fire Bryan Singer?" I mean, they could have easily postponed a week. It happens. But then again, they fired Zack Snyder. When his daughter committed suicide, he couldn't finish shooting Superman. I mean, that's the excuse they use. There's a lot of people. Tom Cruise got hurt shooting Mission Impossible. They had to postpone the rest of the shoot. So right now what it is, Bryan is in a doghouse. Oh, he's not completely gone, but right now he's in a doghouse, being quiet. Because they don't want to bring any attention to him or the gay community. At least that's my observation. Just that last night, if you didn't know that Bryan Singer directed Bohemian Rhapsody, then it would have went over your head that they didn't acknowledge the director. See, right now, Bryan is, I wouldn't say completely toxic, but he's somewhat toxic right now, to be celebrated. See, because people don't want the Bill Cosby treatment. They want the R. Kelly treatment. But nobody want to do it. They want to sit back and make it like they're more civilized, or that there's something wrong with us. Excuse me, I paused for a second. I sort of drifted off. Medication kicked in, but fighting this head cold. But I'm not defending the Bryan Singer in any guy, because he can defend himself. Because Hollywood seemed to have defended him for a minute. Because as I said before, when he was doing the press junket for Days of Future Past, and he was doing Age of Apocalypse, just the actors in the studio, they never had those things really addressed. And with the Time Up Me Too thing going on, people still don't want to mention his name. But Hollywood said, we don't want to alienate him completely, because he might still be able to have that mojo to go out there and direct a movie, have get a movie green light. So if you a black person, you're gonna have a whole different rules placed on you. And if you're a black man, I guarantee if Bryan Singer was a well-known black gay director, they probably they would sacrifice him at some point. But then again, I don't think they want to sacrifice gay Hollywood. Kevin Spacey is different, because Kevin Spacey's popularity had waned. You see what I'm saying? And for years, people been trying to get Kevin Spacey to come out and say he's gay. But what happened was the Me Too movement. That dude came out and, a fellow actor accused Kevin of something. And it was a slow news cycle, and they ran with it. But Bryan Singer, for some reason, they don't fuck with Bryan Singer and these other gay directors and writers in Hollywood. A lot of it had to do with they religious belief, because Bryan Singer identifies Jewish. So it has a lot to do with it. we got to call out the hypocrisy. So I'll tell you right now. But he tried to pretend like he didn't have anything to do with that movie. My thing is, they're not going to blast him publicly, but they just said, let's let him die down, and nobody talks about Bryan for the next 6 months to a year, maybe two. And then we'll pull him back out and let him go back about his business. Because if they want to alienate Bryan, so they would have done it like they did Kevin Spacey. They didn't, because he still put seats at the box, in the seat. He put butts in the seats. He still was able to get people to go watch a product he still put out there. That's just my observation, folks. I just thought it was glaring that they didn't mention him at the award show.